What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Ranger Talk video. Today, I'm going to be chatting with the magical, the epic Eye of Melian. This is Robin and Martin here. Thank you so much for joining me. I just appreciate it so very, very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, you're so welcome. It's our pleasure.
Yeah.
Cool. So how did this project really start? How did y'all kind of get together and decide on this sound and this style?
What if you start with that?
Okay. Well, it goes back quite a few years. I think it was in 2017. I was still living in the States. Martijn called me and said he was thinking about doing like a fantasy music type of project, like Enya type or something along those lines, and asked if I wanted to be involved. And I was, yes, like absolutely. You know, that was a huge thing for me. He says he doesn't remember that moment, but I do, because it was huge for me. So it's kind of emblazoned in my brain. But we didn't really get going on it too much until a couple years later.
Yeah. I visited Tuomas and Johanna in Finland. People might know Tuomas and Nightwish. I was there because they are friends, and actually we talked about it there as well, and that kind of grew as well. So it all came together. And shortly after that, also I talked to it with our a guy who always helps me with arranging music, orchestral music for my other musical job, and that's the band Delane. And that's Miko. Miko always does an amazing job with orchestrals. I can write orchestrals, but he is so more elaborate and detailed with it. So I'm more of the big picture. And yeah, so he was also involved, and that slowly grew into Eye of Melian. Yeah.
And we really got started right before the pandemic hit, I think.
Yes.
And then the pandemic hit, and then there was even more time to work on it. So actually that worked out all right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Really cool. When did Joanna come on board?
Well, it's funny because it was on the table, and then at a certain point Tuomas said, hey, when are you gonna ask Joanna finally to do something with this? Oh yeah, you're totally right, I should, because I was waiting for it, and I was also a little bit not daring to ask her, and so I got this little push. And that was when I was over there. I was actually, I think it was the time that I went to hike with Tuomas in Finland, and we talked about it. And Johanna I met actually in the States first time.
Oh.
Because she was visiting Nightwish when Nightwish was playing there, and we were on that tour as well. That's where I met her, and that immediately clicked. And yeah, I think she's an amazing singer.
The first time I think we went over to talk to her about it was the very end of 2018.
Oh, could be.
I think.
You see, there goes my memory again.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure, or maybe it was 2019. I don't recall, but it was the very end of the year. It was winter time in Finland. I remember that very much. And
wow.
Yeah. And we had talked about it, but it still was several months later that I think really things started moving. Like, you were busy with Delane, so you finally had some time to start writing music, and things took off after that.
Yeah. For me, it's a little bit more blurry because I already wrote some music, which I didn't know what to do with yet. I knew it was not Delane, but I thought I'm gonna do something with this. So in my head, it kind of already was working, but it was indeed totally not concrete yet. Yeah.
Wow. What was like the inspiration really that kind of encouraged this sound, or this style, something that sounds quite different, of course, from Delane?
Yeah, we love movie soundtracks and movie score music, and for me it actually comes much more natural in writing than what I do with Delane. Because Delane is also a lot of riffing and guitar related, and I can do that, but it comes. I need to force that way more to get that out, and this kind of music just flows way easier somehow. And I love Hans Zimmer you know,
And
there are,
Danny Elfman.
and yeah, Elfman, exactly, yeah, they are geniuses, and it's very inspiring. And what makes it a bit different is that with this movie score music, we add like vocals. So it's kind of this kind of music, but it's also like kind of a pop structure. It has a chorus and it has a verse. And that's something you don't really see that often, or actually, I kind of didn't see it. But it could be there, but I never discovered it.
We're having trouble finding a lot of other bands or projects similar to I Have Melian to try to find like the right genre to be, you know, kind of advertising to, or to choose, like when we upload music. We've been having,
Yes.
it's kind of hard to really define. We found
because it's indeed either movie score music, but this is not only movie score music, because these are songs. But they have this vibe to it, and that makes it, I think it also makes it original, which is of course a strong point, but it's also in a way very difficult, because where to place it then.
Yeah, that's a good point, you know, because you know, I struggled with the same thing, you know, when I did the first reaction or whatnot. I was just kind of like, what should I say this is? Because it's kind of like symphonic metal, but like it's not metal, so you kind of take the metal part out of it, so it's just just I guess like a cinematic symphonic style you know, music. But like you said, the structure is definitely different from your typical cinematic movie soundtracks and things like that. So
oh, that's absolutely it. And I do see that there's a lot of overlap with people who like specific kind of metal, symphonic metal, that they like this too, and that's fantastic, of course. But yeah, it's indeed different than it's not symphonic metal. No.
Right. No. Yeah. But you know, the orchestrations and everything is quite remarkable. How did you get that sound, that big, you know, grand bombastic sound? Because you know, some of the songs, of course, there's different movements throughout, you know, some are much more melancholic and whatnot, but then you get those big moments. How did you achieve that sound?
Well, there are a couple elements I always have loved in songwriting, and that is, the elements are drama. So that means a lot of minor chords. I love that melancholic vibe, but I also love bombastic music, like really powerful. And I also love the contrast of the very fragile and small, like make it as small as possible, but then also like completely go in with a bang and make it huge and make it interesting. And because I love that so much, it comes so naturally. And of course, it also helps a lot is what Miko does, because he makes it even bigger when he goes into detail with all the orchestra. So I kind of do the orchestra part one, so to say, and then he comes and he makes it completely over the top. And that combination works really well. And it's always something I loved. I loved to play Imperial March for Star Wars, for example, or piano, or the sound check, or it's Harry Potter. I think that's also a brilliant soundtrack. And those vibes are it's so full of fantasy and magic. And I think music is the kind of magic we really have in this world. And so I love that vibe. Also,
Dumbledore did say that.
Yes, Dumbledore.
Dumbledore did say that.
Yeah, we have this plate actually hanging here. So now, what did he say? He said something like,
he said like, all music, a magic beyond all we do here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're dorks. We love all that.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, if Dumbledore said it, it must be true, right?
Yeah.
What was that?
I mean, if Dumbledore said it, it must be true.
Well, absolutely, I think so.
Yeah, exactly.
Wise man.
Yeah,
Indeed.
We love sci-fi and we love fantasy and all that kind of stuff, and that also radiates in our music. Yeah,
it certainly creates a very magical vibe. You know, I feel like, you know, even if you were to remove the vocals, the music has a feeling and emotion, you know, and a journey all on its own. So that's really cool. In the very beginning, did you envision having a vocalist, or were you just thinking about maybe doing an instrumental kind of?
Well, that's really funny you ask, because people always ask, like, what are your emotions? And indeed, I don't write with lyrics in mind. So I think and feel in music, and not in concrete lyrics that comes later. And therefore, often the music can stand on its own without lyrics. However, the lyrics add a completely different layer of music, and yeah, and that's of course where Robin comes in, and yeah, then it all comes together. But yeah, I always write just like pure feeling, and not something concrete. Yeah.
There were a couple of songs that were originally supposed to be just instrumental on the album, but we ended up doing vocal lines too.
Yeah, because what also happens, I often ask Johanna, hey, can you sing a vocalise, is how we call it, which is just a melody line, like you know, just a melody line without any words. But somehow they often grow into a vocal line, because the melody lines are also asking for it, because they're very concrete melody lines, and I always love to make them catchy, and then they evolve naturally into a vocal line with lyrics.
Speaking of the lyrics, Robin, I know that was your you know, your role here.
Yeah.
That must have been, was it difficult coming in and having the music? Was the music kind of finished and then you had to throw the lyrics on top of it, or did you kind of write some lyrics and put the two pieces together? How did that process work?
Well, I have a whole file full of, just over the years, just if I have an idea about something, I'll jot it down. So I had a lot to pull from if I wanted to kind of look through. What he would normally do is give me the song. It wouldn't be like perfected, but most of the structure was there and the melody lines were there. So then I was just putting them onto the melody lines. So there, with Eye of Melian, I feel like it's been where every time I hear the song, I have a very clear picture in my head, or very clear feeling of something. Like it may not be like I have the whole thing planned out, but like there's something very specific that I see or feel, and that's like the basis that I build then the lyrics from. So that was actually really easy. In fact, I don't think I really used a lot of my ideas, because as soon as I heard the music, I had like my own idea just immediately come to my mind. So that was a bit challenging for me, because I had never done that before, by taking an already established melody line and then putting lyrics on it. Because, you know, that's kind of limiting, you know, you only have so much to work with. And there were a couple of times I told him, Martijn, I need like one more line, you know, to complete the thought. And he's like, well, sorry, the music, that doesn't call for it. So, you know, so that was challenging at moments, to really try and work with something that's already established, you know, to put the lyrics to. But it was a lot of fun too.
But it's indeed, the music pushed Robin into like her imagination. And she has such a fantastic imagination.
Thank you.
But it's true that it comes, and we're very kindred spirits when it comes to the fantasy and imagining what we like. We like the same kind of books, and we like the same kind of movies, and the same kind of stories, the same kind of vibes, and so it comes very naturally. But indeed, even then, sometimes you have to puzzle a little bit to make it exactly fit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make some sacrifices here and there, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Sacrifice, how can I say, compromise though.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
No compromising.
No compromising in music. That's for me, that's a golden rule. Yeah. Now, because if you compromise, it's like with wine. If you add water or, you know, something else.
Quality above all else.
I don't know if it's quality, but yeah, I hope it's quality. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's for people to decide.
Yeah, that's true. That's what we aim for.
Right.
Yeah.
But you want to like fully realize your vision, I guess. You don't want
Yeah.
to diminish that.
Yeah. Yeah, because imagination should come without compromise. The sky should be the limit. It's also with writing for delaying for my band. I'm not gonna think up front, oh, are we able to play this live? Because then you limit yourself. So only afterwards you sometimes think, oh dear, how are we gonna play this live?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there should be no compromise there, and then we'll deal with that when we get there. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that, but before I do, I just want to touch a little bit again on the lyrics. What are some of your, influences? I know you guys have kind of said the Harry Potter, the fantasy stuff. Do you draw on anything in particular, or do you just kind of run wild?
Well, Tolkien mainly. In fact, that's where the name Melian comes from.
Oh,
Yeah, she was a character in the Silmarillion and some of those other lesser known works. And the description of her character was absolutely beautiful. Like, for example, she was the most skilled in enchanted song, and everybody would stop their work when she would sing at the mingling of the lights. She taught the nightingales to sing. She loved the deep shadow of the trees, and just all these things about her. And that's why we chose that for the name, because her character really embodied what we're trying to do with the music. And a lot of Tolkien's work, the Lord of the Rings, but also his other stuff where it's more like not these huge epic stories, but just details about things. Like, he was such an amazing wordsmith, I guess you could say. Like, he was so good with words that a lot of those other like lesser known just kind of descriptions about things are what really get my imagination
Then
moving.
it comes to life. That whole magical world comes to life if all those details are explained.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Doorway of Night, for example, came directly influenced by that, and some other things. But yeah, Tolkien mainly, but I have a huge library. I love all sorts of my fantasy books. So I tend to get like small ideas from them.
yeah.
And then it kind of starts there, but then once I start on the song, it might grow into something different, but it starts from like an inspiration from something I read often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said you have a full library of books. You still buying the physical books, or
Oh, absolutely.
you got to, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I do have a tablet with the Kindle app on it and everything.
Yeah.
It's nice for traveling, but there's nothing like an actual physical book. Like, I can't give that up. And also, it is a dream of mine to have like a massive library one day. So I am working on that.
Perfect. Yeah, you need to get those like rolling ladders that look so cool.
Exactly.
Yes.
See, that's what I'm trying to do.
Even one rolling ladder would do already.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Just one, and you need to leave like a certain section just there, like make sure it gets dusty so you can go up there, get the book, blow the dust off, let the dust
exactly
like kind of sparkle in the light coming in through the window.
Yes, with the shafts of sunlight coming through, the whole dramatic moment. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I think we should. I wonder if you can buy a bucket of dust. Just spray it somewhere.
Unfortunately,
it gathers the dust shop or something.
It gathers quickly enough on its own.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
How cool. And so I guess and then Joanna's vocals was kind of the final touch that kind of how would you explain like all the different pieces and how they fit together, between the music, the lyrics, and then the vocals, because they're all their own, they all stand very much well on their own, but then together it creates,
I think,
very special.
To be thank you so much. I think, to be very honest, I can say this is all a very thought out plan we worked on for 43 years, which it isn't. I think we are simply extremely, extremely lucky that those pieces of the puzzle fit even better than we could have imagined, we could have hoped for. Because also, Joanna, for example, her voice fits this music so incredibly well. If I could choose any singer in the world, I would still choose her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it could not be better. And that is so much luck. Or is it? That's the question.
Yeah.
And the same with the lyrics. We're married, but
So you have to say nice things.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
well, I was gonna say, to me, it plays absolutely zero to work with Robin. I would have asked her as well if I would know that she of who she was without being married, and I know what she could do.
Yeah.
So that has absolutely no influence here at all. And it's a coincidence. I mean that you meet somebody like Johanna and Robin and also Miko. It's all those four pieces fit together way better than you could have ever pre-planned.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think, yeah, we're very lucky that how the team worked out. And I even like the first time that like all four of us actually got together, such kindred spirits, you know, and
Right.
It was really neat. Like all the things we like, we're all very, very similar. We're all often inspired by many of the same things. I don't know, we can just talk and goof around forever. Like we all just fit really well together, like personally, and also, you know, musically, it just worked out.
And creatively.
So, yeah, so wonderfully.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
We're really grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, Robin, for example, introduced me to a lot of fantasy books, and because I don't really read, I listen more like audiobooks.
Oh yeah.
And for example, this American author Brandon Mull, he actually they are kids books like fantasy, like Harry Potter, but
Right.
But not like Harry Potter, just the fact that they're kids' fantasy books. And you see, like, if you look at Amazon, for example, all the reviews are all the like adults. I saw my kid had this and I picked it up and couldn't put it down. Yeah,
Exactly.
Absolutely. He's one of my top favorite authors,
yeah,
actually.
for me too. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's all just so cool. Yeah.
That's so awesome that you all just kind of, you know, found each other and created this project. Because like I said, everything just fits together so well. The magical sound of the music, and then, you know, the lyrics adding that special, you know, that story quality to it. And then Joanna's like ethereal vocals on top. You know, it's just, when you listen to it, it really does take the listener to a different world, pretty much.
Yeah.
Which I
And the funny
Wonderful.
thing is,
Thank you.
everybody kind of does it on their own. So it's kind of how do you call this game in athletics where you hand over the stick and
pass the
I don't know.
baton.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody pours their own fantasy on it. So when it, for example, goes to Johanna, I'm not there present at the recording. She records it on her own and sends it back. And it's always Christmas when she sends it back. Always. Because it's, yeah, all those elaborate lines she does. Like I sent her a main melody line often. And then she sends it back with a lot of backing vocals, and a whole world of vocals is opening up then. And yeah, it's just amazing. And with Miko, the same thing. When you know, I sent him the orchestrations, but then I get it back. It's tenfold.
Yeah.
So everybody does their own thing on it. Yeah.
It starts with you, and then the melody line, and then I usually do the lyrics, then send it to Johanna, and then she does her magic, and then Miko gets it afterwards. And so when it's like really fun to hear, like when they send it things back, just how more and more the song comes to life, of course, you know.
So I have a feeling that we will keep doing this until we drop.
Yeah, we plan on
think
it.
so.
Yeah.
Well, that's good news for everybody. Then, hey, you heard it, folks. We're gonna keep getting more and more here, which is cool.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe, Martin, you provided vocals on Everstrong. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How did that go? How did you decide you want to That's the only song, right, with male vocals.
Yeah, there are more.
A little bit in Rainfall.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing
Right.
some vocals there too. But the funny thing was that for that song, I wrote the melody line, and when I do that, I sing gibberish because I want the rhythm is there and the kind of intonation is there, but that's it. And sometimes I use real words as well, but together the whole sentence
Makes no sense.
makes no sense.
But
I sound like an idiot.
But that's good for me because then that's not putting preconceived ideas when I get it, you know.
Except the word ever strong.
Except for in that song, the word
Yeah.
ever strong was there. So actually the credit of the word ever strong goes to Martijn,
Wow.
because that was in there and I decided to keep it. So I told him, congratulations, that's not a real word,
Yes.
but it is now.
It is
So-
Yeah. So yeah, I sent it to Johanna as well, and she said, "Martijn, you should sing on this." And I thought she was like kidding on me, but she really insisted on it.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I really tried hard. Delena also did some backing vocals in the past,
Mm.
but only backing vocals, and yeah, this was a bit more prominent, I have to say.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was fun. It was a new experience for me, and I'm very grateful to Johanna too that she kind of yeah, pushed me a little bit and
Yeah.
to sing.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's the story.
Cool. Yeah, it's really, you know, it's really kind of a neat surprise when it comes up. You know, it adds like an extra little freshness to it. Like, oh wow, you know, cool. You know, that you both are really kind of sharing 50-50.
Yeah, it's to me it's an honor to be able to sing with such an amazing singer as Johanna. So I'm really happy. I was happy as a kid. Yeah.
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 How did you all decide on what songs to release as singles? Because I imagine that had to have been a difficult decision. Like, how do we best represent who we are, you know, with these songs, you know?
Like the sequence or just in general?
I guess, how did you decide on the very first single? Well,
Oh, well, I remember that when I was still, I think I was still writing music, but the bell was already done, and also we knew that Christmas was coming up, and
It had that wintry vibe
it
in
had
it.
that vibe.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
And also still to this day, I think The Bell might be my top favorite song. I love all the songs, but that one is still up there on my list. So I thought that was for me, that was a perfect first single.
right.
So I like that
Yeah.
tiny bit of a darker edge to
Yeah,
it.
no, yeah. I think, yeah, if you can choose anyway when to release that, then I would do it in winter time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
So,
yeah.
but I think most of the decision, it kind of mostly started with you, what you thought, but there were a few
Yeah.
times, that we weren't really sure. So we just kind of talked about it with everybody and we all kind of put our votes in.
Yeah, and it's also
Yeah.
I think, you know, a single is a representative of the music. It's an ambassador of the whole entity who we are as Eye of Melian, and it should represent those elements.
Mhm.
So I think it's good to choose songs who explain it very well, because there are also some songs that are in a specific corner of the whole spectrum, so to say, but there are also songs that cover more of it, and I think that's also part of it, to make the choice. But in the end, of course, it's all about what feels good and what's a strong song as a single, we think,
Mhm.
and then we choose that. Yeah.
Vita Nova seemed like a kind of obvious choice because there are so many different elements in
Yeah.
it that,
Mhm.
you know, really kind of sum up Eye of Melian. You kind of get a lot of that in that one. So
Yeah, and a lot of contrast in that
Yeah.
song. There's this epic, it builds up to this epic climax.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's so cool to have as a single. And
Mhm.
yeah, so that's how we build it up. And then Everstrong is a completely different song, and I think it was a good song to do later on, because then you also see more diversity if you
Yeah.
heard more songs of Eye Million. And so that's a little bit how you think on okay, which songs do we choose? Yeah, what is difficult sometimes, because
Yeah.
so yeah, this song I really like this, and that song I really like that, what to do. So it's good you talk about it together, and then together you come up with a decision. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, Robin, that you mentioned that Vita Nova, really, encapsulates kind of the whole album or the whole band. Because in my review of the album, I actually thought the same exact thing,
Oh, really?
Yeah, at the end, I always, give folks my suggestion for if they're going to give an album like one chance, one song to decide if they want to listen. That was the one I thought of, because it really does kind of capture the spirit of everything in that one song. So
Yeah.
just really, really remarkable song there. I mean, they're all fantastic, but I also wanted to ask, are you inspired by like nature at all or anything? Because, as you mentioned with like the bell, it has a wintry kind of vibe. And I feel like a lot of the songs have a wintry kind of snow covered landscape, like the cover of the album, for instance. I feel like a lot of the music conjures that kind of image.
Yeah. What do you think?
I've
Excuse
yeah.
us for a moment. We put a note on our front door that there's an
Sure.
interview in progress, and to not ring a bell or knock, but somebody's not paying attention.
No problem at all.
So sorry about that.
No.
Anyway, another day in our lives, I guess, here.
Yeah, people don't like to read notes on doors. That's
Apparently
I've
not,
learned
no.
that myself.
But well, I mean, Martijn can answer that question about the music, but as far as me for the lyrics, I guess I can talk about that with the nature a little bit. Yes, very much so. And I think that's what we really also really try to tie into Eye of Melian, is like beautiful, breathtaking nature along with the fantasy, because first of all, they go together so well. And I think, at least for me, being out in nature is incredibly inspiring to me. I always feel, especially like in the forest or the sea, like there's magic there. So I think it's a very powerful influence for me. So what would you say now that you're back?
I have no clue what you guys are talking about.
Oh, the question was, well, go ahead.
Or do you have any inspirations from nature per se? Because how we were talking about with the
Yes.
bell has wintry vibes and
Very much actually. I love those landscapes. I always have, like forestry landscapes, indeed wintry landscapes. I love, for example, this part in the movie Lord of the Rings, the third one, Return of the King, where the fires are lit and you see all those mountain tops.
Yeah.
And all this epic music, and it gives me goosebumps every single time. It's so beautiful. But also, for example, when I go to Finland, and Finland is such a beautiful country, and you have so many lakes, and you have forests, and sometimes the water is so flat, it's like a mirror.
wow.
And only that for me is enough to just look at for ages, and that really also makes you at peace. And then also the music comes, and fantasy and inspiration comes. Yeah.
Wow. So you were talking earlier about playing live and all that. Do you plan on taking Eye of Melian on the road in any capacity, or how would that even work?
That's a very good question. And somebody asked me that before, and that's very difficult.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that if we want to do this properly live, we need a whole orchestra for that. And then you could really bring this to life. I wouldn't do it like bring it live in a box, so to say, an electronic box. It should come to life. And for that to happen, it needs a lot of work, and that's kind of a dream, yeah. But I wouldn't dare say now yes, because that takes a lot of things need to fall in place for that, financially, but also organization, a lot of factors. I would love to.
Yeah, it would be a huge production. And originally we were saying no, like when we first were starting everything, that it wasn't going to be like a touring or live shows or anything. But we've been thinking about it. but
Yes.
whether or not it's possible, we're still thinking about it.
Right.
Let me say it
Yeah.
like this: I refuse to say no.
Yeah.
If the
Yeah.
opportunity were to present itself in the right way, then perhaps.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, that
absolutely.
would be so fantastic. Yeah.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
You know, another thing I wanted to mention, it's so cool what you all were doing with the store and the kind of merch that y'all were offering, because Joanna was doing some handcrafted items for sale and stuff, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. She loves to knit. That's like her kind of winding down, activity. And she had made us some really awesome stuff for Christmas, like the year prior. And so when we were talking about the crowdfunding campaign, I thought, I bet you that would sell really well. I'm going to ask her if she's willing to make like a couple, because I didn't want to bother her with like, knit 5,000 things for us.
Right.
So I asked her, I'm like, if you have a couple that, maybe we could use, that would be amazing. And she was on it. She got the, like, I have Melian tags made, and I expected still like, a couple, and she's like, here's 25. So
Wow.
Yeah.
and they sold out within a little over 24 hours, I think.
Yeah.
Then she gave us another set of maybe like 13 or something, and those sold out within the same time frame. So that was a big hit.
I think she is starting a web shop on that as well herself, and because she loves to knit in her free time,
and she's so good at it.
And what's better to have a personalized item from somebody you listen to, and
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a very unique thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. That's why, it just caught my attention. I was like, well, I don't know if I've ever really seen that before offered in, band merch.
no, I don't think I have either.
Now, sometimes you see very original things when people do crowdfunding campaigns. Actually, I bumped into somebody who sold the doorknob of the studio.
Yeah, that was funny. That's sold for like 1,000 euros.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. All those creative, surprising ideas. It's really fun.
Yeah, it really lets you get creative, I guess, with everything.
Yeah.
Do you will there be another crowdfunding campaign perhaps in the future, or
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's been in discussion, because it was indeed a lot of work. I mean, it went really well, but
especially Robin worked on that for months on end, day in, day out.
Yeah, it was I knew it was going to be a lot, but it was more than I expected, for sure. So but yeah, it paid off. But I mean, like, as far as it was a success. So yeah, we're discussing that. We're not sure. There's definitely coming a second album eventually.
Yes.
Good news. Good news.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of a scoop what you're giving. Yeah, that's true. Which is good.
But that's not concrete though yet either, of course, like nothing, but that's in the future. But as far as how to release it next time, that's still in discussion. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, but for sure there's another album coming. That's without saying. Yeah. And yeah.
That's
as
so
I said,
exciting.
we'll keep going. Yeah.
Wow.
But when it is a crowdfunding, I don't know. Perhaps, depends on. Like with a lot of things at I Have Melian, things are not really planned out. We really go with the flow, and so perhaps it's a crowdfunding, or perhaps we'll do it through a record label, or who knows. But I do like the approach that we did, because we cannot do this without fans, without people who listen to the music. And thanks to them, we can realize this. And otherwise we cannot. And it makes it much closer to each other. And that's really, that's kind of magical in a way.
Yeah, we felt very blessed with the way the crowdfunding campaign went, because we really didn't know what to expect. We had no clue, because this is brand new. And he comes from metal background, so we were kind of putting it in front of metal people. And as we talked about earlier, there's some overlap with like the symphonic and everything, but not everyone that likes metal is a fan of this, of course. So we were really like, oh, let's see how it goes. We have no clue how much, like, it might be done halfway through our goal, and then like that's it. So
it was really
that's scary.
In the end, it was
it was a bit nerve-wracking, but we were really, really grateful for everyone.
In the end, it was beyond what we expected.
It was awesome.
Way beyond.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I think it allows the fans to really feel like they're a part of the whole process too, which is neat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because they are,
They
they
are.
indeed are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've been,
yeah,
from I think almost day one, we've been talking about it being a journey and everything, and that really kind of took off too. And people are like, I'm coming on the journey. So it's actually been really cool. Yeah.
Oh. So, now that the album is out, I bet that is a relief for y'all. How are you feeling, with like the reception and, all of that now that it's out there in the world, people are listening to the whole thing.
yeah. That's of course that's always so exciting and sometimes also nerve-wracking,
Yeah.
because okay, now here it is, and then how are people going to respond to that? And yeah, so we're really happy people are now receiving their physical copies, and yeah, we also get a lot of messages, and
Yeah.
yeah,
On
it's
honestly, everything we've received so far, like with the comments and a lot of messages come through our social medias as well, of
yeah,
even emails of people just taking the time to say thank you.
Wow.
And really give us a lot of love and support. So I think that's been kind of neat.
yes,
Yeah, it's gone really well. So we're grateful for that as well.
yeah, and it's only 1 week now.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, still a little bit of a moment to realize, oh yeah, the album is out.
Right.
This is what we worked for all these years, kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
And
long
here
project.
it is. So yeah, next week we're back in Finland, and we all will raise our glasses to the release and the birth of the first album.
Yeah.
How cool, how exciting. Just a wonderful work. It really just kind of takes the listener to another world. It's almost like an escape kind of album. You can just get away to this beautiful land or world story that y'all created. So just really, really remarkable. Congratulations on the release.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and of course, I wish you the best. I hope you get to enjoy, all the perks of having an album out there in the world, and get the positive feedback. So just a huge
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
Yeah, thank you very, very much. And for helping spread the word about I Have Melian as well.
Yes.
We really appreciate that. Yeah.
Of course. And thank you so very much taking the time to speak with me. It just means a whole lot. Yeah, so
Our pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely.
so cool, folks. So that's what I got for y'all today. That's I Have Melian. You heard it here. The second album's on the way, eventually. We don't want to get too greedy here. We just got this first one, but it's like, yeah, so I'm going to put all of their social media stuff and everything down in the description below, so you can go check all that stuff out. I'll put links to the singles that they released as well, so you can listen to that if you haven't heard of them yet. So yeah, and check out Legends of Light, their debut album. It's out now. And yeah, that's what I got, and I'll catch you all later. Thanks for tuning in. Ranger out.